I want to end this discussion because when we talk about a language system, hopefully in this lecture you've been as fascinated by the fact that humans are language making creatures as I have been, and I just kind of look at that and also want to understand the symbols, understand the syntax, understand the semantics of a work of art and what makes it unique. And I'll say this to you is look at the works of art that astound you, or if you're in a choreography class and everyone suddenly says, oh my gosh, that's really great. Think about what was really great about it. And in terms of its language system, and you'll find that there's some uniqueness probably that's happened. Now, with a language system, one of the things that we get whenever we see a word like DOG, we want to read it. We want to understand what it means as a system. Yeah. And works of art, that's a human characteristic. So when I go back talking about my first modern dance concert, I wanted to read those works and I wanted to know what they meant and why were they made, and what could this piece possibly mean. And I was probably looking for more story than not. And sometimes I just like to end this lecture on language with, should we really try to interpret everything about a work of art? You know, because sometimes we need to just simply appreciate works of art and let them wash over us and appreciate their possible meanings without being absolute about the meanings that they could be or have. I like to bring up American literary theorist Susan Sontag. And she wrote a book that you should read. A lot of times you can just find it online because it's not a it's a kind of essay. Her essay is called Against Interpretation. And it was a rebellion against this kind of intellectualism of art, that everything had to mean something and that we had to understand the meaning of everything in a work of art. You know, the other thing that she was really dealing with is that much of art nowadays is conceptual, that we want to know, what is the conceptual meaning? Why was it made? Because most works of art are made for conceptual reasons. And because they're conceptual, like Duchamp's fountain, they demand us to understand their conceptual meaning of what they're about. So for her, she was just, for Sontag, she was thinking maybe we should just simply sit in the work. Here's a kind of great thing she wrote in 1964 in Against Interpretation, that none of us can ever retrieve the innocence before all theory, when art knew no need to justify itself, when no one did not ask of a work of art, what does it say? Because we knew, or we thought we knew. And she says, from now until the end of consciousness, we're stuck with the task of defending works of art, of looking for those meanings. And she says we can quarrel with one and another means of defense. So anyways, it's kind of a great thing to look at with works of art, and what they possibly could mean. And should we really, should we, and can we really understand what Van Gogh's Starry Night ultimately means? Or can it mean multiple things at multiple times in multiple ways? And maybe that's one of the things that's so profound about it as an art, as an artwork, is that it's not just one thing. The dog can be more than just a dog. It can be many, many, many things. Yeah. And you can hear Miss Keiko snapping as she listens to me drone on and on about art. So we'll finish this lecture with one final artwork. Yeah. And Here's some pictures I took. This is the Donna Beam Gallery, which is very close to the dance department. Some of you have spent time in it dancing before. And one of the MFA students had a show up, and this show was, he was up for a graduate award, and he won the award. And I was on the committee, and once I saw this show, I just said he needs to win the award, because this was a profound work of art as a language system. He created a language system. When you walked into the museum, you saw these sculptures. And these were made out of a type of resin and foam, and these kind of beautiful colors. You later found out that he's also colorblind, so he used a lot of these primary colors so that he could really distinctly see kinds of the differences or figure out which color was which. But in the air were these kinds of molecules that were suspended. And you can see that there's, these 2 yellows and these 3 greens here. And as you walked through, you encountered more and more of them. They were up in the air. And on the one wall was this piece with all of these little squares. Then the fascinating thing is when you went upstairs, you saw this, where you suddenly saw this one yellow pod with a yellow apple. This 3 greens with a green banana. These 2 blues with a blue clock. And suddenly when you saw that, here are 26 letters. This was a key. That suddenly 1 yellow meant A, 3 greens meant B. And then what you figured out as it went, and some of these really were a little strange. These 2 cupids were kitsch. So these 4 books that means literature. So there's the Messiah, so there were some humorous ones that were a little more classic and a little more difficult to figure out. But here was the entire key upstairs, and what you realized as you looked through the piece is that all of these sculptures were hanging words in the air. And they were from books that he had read that were meaningful to him as a child. And there was a statement here on the wall. So all of this could be interpreted and deciphered. And it was brilliant as a language piece. And it was such a physical language that he was creating that created these words that when we first encountered them, we just looked at them in the first function in and of themselves, and we just appreciated them as molecules in the air. But later on, they became languages that spoke to us. And it was a brilliant show. He won the award. And hopefully this has been enlightening on this lecture of language. And here we are. Today is Saturday. And hope you're having a great day.